Rock Talk. End of the segment blues. I always say that when we do the blues thing. Everybody will know that. They go, oh, he always says some blues thing when he plays his music. It's blues music. Of course I did. All right.
You don't know what the blues
Kimberly's
are.
got the I overslept blues.
But the whole state is going to get the I funded the Balsams blues.
All right, well, we want to talk about some South Korean blues because they came here looking for some information from an expert in the field of right to know. So we're going to talk about that.
I liked it was just pretty interesting. We had the, I think you have the name of the organization there, Steve.
World Affairs Council?
Yeah, it's the New Hampshire chapter.
Of New Hampshire, yes.
Yep. That called, and they were interested in having some people from South Korea of different, expertise. You know, like military, there was a human rights advocate.
Tong Il Kwan, Chang Byung-wan,
and luckily,
Jae Kwon Yoon.
They had two translators.
These are their names. I'm reading them off the cards. Tae Hoon Lim.
Yep.
So
they had two translators, which is good because my Korean is rusty. I'd had a heck of a time.
I got through the business cards, but I can't even tell you if I read them.
They posted. I guess Skip has already posted some
the
of
video.
it on,
All the videos up. Yes.
So I tried to speak slowly. That's difficult for me because whenever I've been in court, the stenographers usually throw their hands in the air and get up and leave the courtroom. But I tried to speak as slow as possible. And it's when you're working with interpreters, when someone asks you a question in Korean or some other language, you never know when they're done asking. You know, if it's Japanese, I think it ends in a ka. You know, it turns a question into a sentence into a question. But with the Koreans, I couldn't tell when the question was over, so I must have stepped on some toes there. But I think they were very interested in how we have the right to secure documents and access to public meetings. And they were particularly interested in voter fraud, which we gave an eye opener on, copies of things, and they were interested in Windsor.
Oh, Windsor,
public corruption, where the
which I also wrote about on Watchdog.org.
Yep,
that's a great story.
That's
Windsor.
a fabulous story. I mean,
because this is a story where you have a small group of people attempting to unravel a years-long corruption in government.
Decades.
I mean, and these people were harassed. A guy had his shed burned down. I mean, it's crazy.
We actually have the 6 legal boxes of documents they used to rebuild 10 years worth of finances for the town. There's 2 couples. So Eb Chamberlain was one of the guys that did that, and he was there. His wife was an accountant. So they rebuilt it, and we know how much money people didn't pay for the 10-year period. So their faces were lit up when we showed them what we had been through and how the right-to-know law is the only tool we have left. And so far, the courts are trying to chip away at it, like the Green case.
The legislature's chipping at it.
Yeah, they're always chipping away at it. They've heard it as much as they can get away with, what I think, without total public
It's like
outrage.
free speech. They're always nibbling at the edges, trying to get closer and closer to the middle to take it away
so
from you.
we showed them that. We gave them a little insight into Atkinson, how the moderator tried to shut down our photographer, and the ACLU wouldn't take the case. They were too busy protecting the guy that dresses up as Sasquatch up in the woods. They were protecting him. So we're on our own, and we showed them how when we go to court, the judges try to flip this thing on us. So we try and avoid going to court, and we're always rolling with the punches in New Hampshire, but to avoid being countersued like we were in Atkinson and having our activists get in trouble or having the law diminished by a Superior Court judge like Judge Lewis used to do, and other judges still do. So I think they were pleasantly surprised that we gave them exactly what they came for and copies of things, and I sent them a video of the Banny Rooster moderator, Frank Polito, in Atkinson, gaveling down our photographer and having a vote, leading a vote that he was not allowed to take pictures at a meeting that was on cable access because he didn't want his picture taken. Apparently he likes film. He likes those moving pictures, but not the still pictures. So we went to court and we lost that case several times.
Goodness.
So
how could you lose that when it was cable access?
Well, it's the way it works. You know, it's New Hampshire, and we're more powerful all the time. Our group, our whole coalition, all of us, are really hurting the powers that be. They thought we'd have an income tax and a sales tax by now, and the Republican Party would be gone. But the Republican Party is doing that on their own, and we've actually picked up the mantle and gone along and uncovered a lot of stuff in the state. So
I would say the speed with which the what the heck's his name, Carl Gibson thing evolved.
Yeah,
very rapidly,
very quick. They want him out of the press quick. I'm surprised the arraignment takes till June 22nd.
That is a pretty long time.
Yeah. So anyway, they got emails back saying they had a good time and they'd like to do it again. I'm hoping we get some people from Libya, because Muammar Gaddafi has two brothers that are still out there. That's Larry Marr and Curly Marr. So if we can get
they might
them in
be
here.
Colonel Larry and Colonel Mo.
I'm kind of joking around, but if they'd like to bring people from other countries in, we'd love to. I've met some Japanese people in San Francisco that were at a function for taxpayer groups in Moscone Center in San Francisco one time, and I've gone to functions where I met the Canadian Taxpayers Association, Germans, Swedes, Australians. So I think mixing it up with those guys is a golden opportunity for them to learn from us, because we have a pretty old form of government here, and each one of them left with a New Hampshire Constitution.
Cool.
And each one of them was informed of Article 10.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a Constitution in South Korea, you should have that in there as well. So we had a good time, and it's on YouTube. Skip promised to come videotape it, which he did, and then posted it. So I tried to speak slow. I tried to make sure we got all the points in as understandable as possible, because you never know when you're throwing out words like appropriation, assessment, and all types of terms we use in municipal government, whether or not that's translating properly. Like, we caught bridge engineer moonlighting. A DOT bridge engineer was moonlighting and designed a bridge in my town, which was a failure. So when I say moonlighting, how do they translate that to those guys? So when I got to something like that, I'd give it a couple shots, different, working on the side, things like that. So it was entertaining. It's fun to work with those guys, and I sent them some more stuff. I may send them some updates now, like on the voter fraud, this Carl Robert Gibson thing. They don't know anything about that, so I'd like to send that to them. Each one of them left me a card, and keep them updated on what we're doing. So it was fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it, and as I say, considering what we're fighting here, the fact that the South Koreans, who definitely do have their government corruption problems, would come to New Hampshire to learn how to fight them is pretty impressive. Because maybe we haven't beaten corruption in New Hampshire, but sure as heck we're giving it a rough ride, and that's mostly thanks to Ed and the CNHT, which is a shameless plug. CNHT.org. Don't forget to donate.
Please. It's like the frog. The eagle has the frog. The eagle has the frog by the body, and the frog has the eagle by the throat. So we're doing that, and I think they're very upset, the powers that be, that want us to be Massachusetts North. I think they're upset that they're having as much professional resistance as they are. So, and the courts have now jumped in. Now, you can't trust the Supreme Court. The AG's office has been bad for a decade. Well, that's how I got involved in politics. When our police chief arrested the selectman and the road agent, and they just simply abolished the police department and went to court, and there was no one to prosecute them, I thought the AG would step in, and that was 1991. I was aware of how non-functional the Attorney General's office was then, so I knew they were crooked back then.
It's interesting.
I'm going to make sure I said
most people don't have a clue about this stuff, and they think, once you get involved and once you see the corruption at the local level and once you see the way people operate within the political system, everything else the government does from the grassroots all the way up into D.C. takes on a whole new perspective.
Yep.
You can't trust anybody.
It's shocking. I mean, I've run into a couple different organizations in New Hampshire that actually work, and one was Archives a couple weeks ago when I went to get Jared Stephen Cram's 2002 Declaration of Candidacy. People down there, Stephen, I guess the guy's name is, could not have been more helpful. I had it the next day. And the Municipal Bond Bank, when, I forget the guy's name now, worked there, the Municipal Bond Bank would fax me things and answer questions. A couple different organizations in the state have been very helpful. The group that audits different budgets, the audit division, they've been very helpful. But for the most part, if you go to like the Department of Transportation or the DRA, let's take that example, and you think, oh, I'm going to get some help here, it's the opposite. It's the let's hide what's going on organization. So you'll find out pretty quickly when people tell you back in 1991, a reporter told me the AG's office is a whitewash bucket. That's all they'll do. You take anything to them, they'll know now exactly what you have. Don't take everything you have, or send copies to someone else and let them know there's other copies. Absolutely true. I mean, my first meeting with these people, it's been a failure ever since. So I don't trust them, and It's a lot easier to manage that way. You just don't expect anything from them.
And just to reiterate, when you first started dealing with the AG's office, Kelly Ayotte was the AG?
No, this was, I think I was back with, Steve, Governor.
Merrill?
Well, I started like in 1991.
Wow.
So there was McLaughlin,
Mm-hmm.
a couple different ones in between. But
Did
we
Benson
never
bring in
had
Ayotte,
help
or
with-
who nominated Ayotte and got her? I don't remember.
That may have been Benson.
I was thinking it probably was, because I can't imagine that Shaheen would have done that.
No. So it's just, don't expect help from them. You're on your own. You have to go to independent groups like us.
It doesn't
for help.
matter if it's a Democrat or Republican governor. It doesn't matter if it's a Democrat or Republican AG. The AG's office in New Hampshire is pretty much useless. Yep.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Kimberly.
Sorry. I got to say, before I moved here, New Hampshire, live free or die, right? Before I moved here, when I first moved here, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be, it's a good state, and the politics can't be as bad as in Massachusetts. Boy, was I wrong.
Well, it comes in cycles in towns. Luckily, we have a lot of small towns, and you can pick a good town in it, and it can be good for a long time, but they have their periods of growth and diminished, honesty. But in New Hampshire, back when the Claremont case was decided, the New Hampshire Supreme Court invented the mandatory education provided by the state out of thin air. So when they did that, there was a judge then, Judge Horton. He wrote a dissent saying this ruling is not correct. In their most recent ruling, where they say non-residents are allowed to vote here, this is what the end result is. They don't say it exactly, but we're going to let non-residents vote in New Hampshire because we're going to pretend words don't mean things. Judge Lynn, I thought Judge Lynn would be part of that decision. He wasn't part of it, which means he's not writing a dissent. So he didn't even vote against it. He just wasn't part of it. So you would think he would say, well, no, Black's Law Dictionary says your domicile is your legal address and your residence is where you live. It's a residence only. Your legal residence is your domicile. And I'm going to write something on this and explain how stupid the Supreme Court's decision is if they're trying to hide what their intent was, because there's other words in the New Hampshire Constitution regarding voting that are ignored by them as well. So it's real idiot-proof. An eighth grader can understand this. So we're going to work on that and expose the Supreme Court some more.
Well, back when, such as when the Constitution was written, in eighth grade education or the equivalent thereof was
like a college education.
Was like a college. They knew stuff that our graduating high schoolers don't
Latin.
these days.
Yeah.
Learn Latin.
Ed, can we take this further beyond them?
Well, you just, like for me, with voter fraud, you have to go federal, because when New Hampshire starts messing with the election laws in federal elections, they've messed with other states' laws. And the federal government can't allow that, or we'll be back to the feds can't control things anymore.
All right. Well, we can control things here. We have to control our departure because we have a Memorial Day weekend to enjoy, and I hope you guys all enjoy yours. Thanks so much for listening with all the technical glitches and all the good stuff. But the podcast will be up soon, so have a great weekend. Goodbye.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, baby.